As Ma Exekshina brings director T. West's slasher trilogy to a close, the horror movie promises to revisit one audacious decision that made two of Quentin Tarantino's movies critically acclaimed. In 2022, T. West got some of the best reviews of his career with X, a gruesome slasher movie that harkened back to the subgenre's early antecedents. Borrowing from the likes of 1968's Spider Baby and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, X was a slice of Southern Gothic that starred Mia Goth as both its heroine and its aging villain. X was followed by the prequel Pearl, another star vehicle for Goth. While Pearl's ending set up X's story perfectly, X itself had already established the third movie in the series. West's upcoming movie Ma Exekshina stars Goth as X's surviving heroine Maxine, now hoping to make a name for herself as a star in Hollywood. According to Maxine's trailer, Maxine's plans are derailed by the killing spree of Richard Ramirez, the infamous Night Stalker. While this real-life serial killer's role in the sequel is not yet clear, Ma Exekshina could end the trilogy's story by using a trick from two Quentin Tarantino movies. This controversial twist would fit the sequel perfectly. Ma Exekshina may copy Quentin Tarantino by rewriting real-life history. Tarantino changed history in Inglourious Bastard and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. A hand holding a knife with a neon sign in the background in Ma Exekshina, 2024. If Maxine kills the Night Stalker in Ma Exekshina, West's movie could indulge in Quentin Tarantino's infamous tendency to rewrite history by giving his heroes a chance to kill off famous villains. In Inglourious Bastard, Tarantino gave the titular antiheroes a shot at killing Hitler and, much to the audience's shock, the plan went off without a hitch. This gave viewers the delirious catharsis of seeing history's greatest villain shot to shreds, much like letting Maxine kill the Night Stalker would wrap up the trilogy's story perfectly. X made Maxine a horror legend, but changing a real-life serial killer's fate would further cement this. Tarantino arguably paved the way for this twist even more explicitly when he made Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This meandering drama followed a washed-up Hollywood star and his stuntman as the pair cross paths with Hollywood legends, hippies, the Manson family, and Sharon Tate alike. The surprisingly elegiac movie set up a perfect twist for Maxine's characters when its two antiheroes brutally killed the Manson family during a botched home invasion. The tragic fate of Sharon Tate was rewritten as a hysterically bloody face-off which ended with the infamous spree killers dead and Tate safe. Ma Exekshina already has similarities to a Quentin Tarantino movie. T. West's movie is similar to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. In terms of plot, Ma Exekshina doesn't share too many similarities with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. However, in terms of aesthetics, the two movies share a great number of similarities. The trailer for Ma Exekshina reveals that a lot of the movie story takes place on film sets, with the presence of the iconic Bates Motel indicating that Ma Exekshina will use real-life movie shoots as a setting for some scenes. West Slasher shares its meta elements with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and the two movies both also boast starry casts with numerous notable names playing minor supporting roles. West's movie also leans into its sense of place and time much like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, although the era it depicts is very different. Unlike Pearl's wartime story or X's 70s set plot, Ma Exekshina takes place firmly in the neon-drenched 80s and not one shot in the trailer allows viewers to forget this. Ma Exekshina promises to highlight its 80s setting as much as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood leaned into the aesthetic of the 60s, with both movies also using the iconic trend of these decades to comment on the cultural impact of the respective eras. Ma Exekshina changing real history fits its predecessors. T. West's slasher trilogy has railed against misogyny. Pearl and X both focused on different forms of misogyny that shaped the lives of their main characters, so it would be a fitting conclusion for Ma Exekshina to kill off one of the most famous cultural incarnations of misogyny. While Ma Exekshina could include a twist where Maxine commits the Night Stalker's murders and frames Ramirez, or works with the Night Stalker, the tone of the trailer implies that the horror movie won't take this route. Pearl's heartbreaking story was surprisingly sympathetic towards Goth's title character, and Maxine's trailer treats the title character more like a tough heroine than a villain. While Maxine won't let anyone get in her way and is disturbed by the experiences she endured in X, the heroine is also resilient and determined to make it in Hollywood in Ma Exekshina. Thus, it would make thematic sense for Maxine to come up against the Night Stalker, as Pearl and Maxine's lives were both defined by struggles against misogyny. Thus, Goth's anti-heroine defeating Ramirez would fit her arc perfectly. If Ma Exekshina utilizes Ramirez as a symbolic embodiment of misogyny the way Inglourious Bastard used Hitler as a shorthand for hate, Maxine killing the Night Stalker would be an ideal ending.